Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Drag Race RuCap here on RHAP, We Know Reality TV. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and today we're going to be talking about episode 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race season 17. We have a ball, we have so many looks to go through, and potentially some questionable judging. I don't know. I'm curious to hear where our guest lands on that. But no, not a guest. You know her as Bussin' Beth Dixon.
Bussin' Beth. She's
I was
back.
going to introduce you as a guest, our guest Bussin' Beth Dixon. And then I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. I'm only going to confuse myself.
And the audience at home, they're like,
Yeah,
wow,
exactly.
Beth is no longer a part of the panel, but Bussin' Beth is the guest.
Buffer twin Bussin' Beth Dixon is here.
To be fair, I think a lot of people were thinking that La Roche was the guest judge this week, but y'all, we get to celebrate because he's an actual rotating member of the panel, and I've been talking about this how many weeks in a row? How many seasons?
I know. I'm going to give you credit. I've decided, as the one person in my life who's been strongly advocating for this. Like, obviously, you're the one who made this happen, Beth. Very proud of you. Sorry, Bussin'.
I'm really, please use my full name. It's Bussin' Beth. My manifestation powers for only Drag Race are astounding, and I wish they would translate to other things in my life. But if I have to manifest things for the greater good of the Drag Race viewing community, you're all welcome. And so there we go.
And there we go. All right. Well, Aman is not with us this week. Don't worry. He'll be back next week. And we have what? How many looks? How many queens are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's 2 more queens, and there should be 12. There times 3 looks.
Okay, so 12 plus 3, 36 looks. Well, you remember when Drag Race used to advertise, oh my God, it's 36 looks. And that was sort of a big deal. Now they do it every season. So they're just kind of like,
they're like, it's 36 looks, just like last season. And the season before, it's no longer special.
No different. Yeah, so this week for the Maxi Challenge, the queens were tasked with the Let's Get C Sickening Ball. So they had 3 different looks, 2 of which they brought from home, 1 they had to make. So the 2 that they had to bring from home were the Bathing Beauties, which is essentially swimwear, Sea Creature Couture, which was inspired by colorful creatures of the sea. And then the one that they made was Sea Sickening Eleganza, which was to upcycle marine debris from the garbage patch, which is essentially just the recycling of the season 1, the dollar store garbage challenge. So
apparently there will still be food items stuck to some of your things, like butthole.
Yes, like butthole mentioned, which I did love the producers going like, really? There was food stuck to your garment?
He was like, yeah, there was. That was I think one of the weirdest sentences I've ever said. Food stuck to butthole.
Well, butthole is just butthole now. Again, in my notes, it's just butthole. Did the anglerfish look? That's it. I'm sorry. That's what it is now.
I love just calling her butthole, but then there's also, I'm already dragifying that, and now I'm calling her booty hole, and I'm in my head
come on, booty hole.
Come on, booty hole.
Oh my gosh. Wait, at the top of the show, before we talk about the episode, which I promise we will get into, but for any aficionados of RuPaul style music, very gay music, there is a Eurovision entry this year representing the country of Malta, and her song is called Kant, K-A-N-T, which is the Maltese word for singing.
I thought you were going to say the Maltese word for see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Well, let me tell you, the lyrics are serving Kant. And the songs, it's so gay. It's amazing. It genuinely does sound like it could have been a RuPaul song. So just Google Eurovision Malta Kant, K-A-N-T, and you should find it's a bop. I've been listening to it on repeat, so highly recommend anyone listen to it.
Literally before I hopped on here to record this with you, I saw an Instagram reel of a DJ who was putting together, mashing up Sissy That Walk and Abracadabra.
Yes.
With Lady Gaga, and he was like, it's the gayest album. And I was like, it is!
It is! Yes. Yes. Anyway. All right. So that's Liana's music recommendation of the day. But we have a whole Drag Race challenge to talk about. Beth, what were your overall feelings about this episode and this Maxi challenge?
This episode had it all. It had drama. It had really bad looks. It had really good looks. It had La Roche. I can't emphasize that enough.
We know. Thank you.
It had Hunter Schafer, who
Yes.
I thought was an incredible guest judge. And I generally, whereas the first design challenge showed us that we have a lot of design queens, thank God, after 17 seasons, most of them know how to sew and such. And actually, those who were like not good at sewing are pretty much gone now and such, which I think is interesting. But I felt like when you use unconventional materials, that's a whole other ball game. And while I do think seamstresses are obviously going to have an upper hand because that's still using that skill set, I also think that there are ways to make this challenge work for somebody who does not know how to sew at all. If you can do something like, I'm going to put out there, and we'll get to all the individual looks, but I think there was a few queens who were safe, who very well could have been in the bottom if it weren't for the other looks that saved them. So if this was purely a design challenge, ooh. But I don't know. I just think in general, I love a season, or I love a challenge where you get people all over the place. We have those who struggle. You have those who are excelling. Then you have a whole bunch of people in the middle. The design challenge the first time was just really fun because so many people did great. But I kind of like the drama of having people like really struggle and have them be like drama in the workroom or out in the parking lot really more than anything. I don't know. I thought it was fun.
Well, and that was the thing, right? Jules, I think in her confessional talks about, okay, the kumbaya time is done. We're now coming for each other. And I think it was nice to see the Lexi drama with, her potential sabotage of the dress, which was just a tarp, which just the whole saga of this is so funny to me. But I did love Anya and Lexi patching it up the next day. And I think for me, that was also really nice to see. The drama's fun, but also then I have anxiety related to their drama, so it was nice. I was like, please be friends. I like you both so much.
You're like, be nice, fight, but then also show a resolution that's positive.
Yeah, exactly. I need both in my life. We also got a mini challenge with Norvina there, giving us nothing. The glory holes, as per usual, exactly. So the two other fun facts about this episode: Charles Barkley is Sam Starr's godfather.
Okay, we need to.
What? Where's
I have to tell you, I have some kind of, I don't know. I feel like Sam in so many ways just represents nepotism, even though she can also back it up with a lot of skill, right?
Yes.
And I've already been kind of feeling like, oh yeah, she feels like the epitome of the girl who never loses, the Southern Belle who's like, the belle of the ball, like all that kind of stuff that I'm already kind of like, meh, right? Last week it was all about patriarchy, right? Where I was like, she represents patriarchy. Now this week she represents nepotism.
Right. I mean, obviously, anyone who's a drag daughter of like a super famous, arguably one of the most famous queens from Drag Race in Trinity. And then also the Charles Barkley connection. Like, it's not helping the Nepo baby allegations. You know what I mean? I totally agree with you on that one.
But that said, if we can, that again, none of that actually influences how she's doing in the competition or anything. No. Like, I'm saying that because I was just like, because I clearly have something that I'm like stuck on that I can't get on board with Sam, even though she's so clearly talented. There's just something that bugs me about her. And I was like, and now Charles Barkley, like what the hell? But the Charles Barkley thing I think is so cool because I genuinely have always thought that like Charles Barkley was such a good guy. He seemed like he was so open and everything. And I love the idea that now that there's like a drag queen on Drag Race who could be like, oh yeah, he basically helped raise me. I'm like, that's incredible.
I know, it's so cool. And it's also just such a merging of worlds. Like Charles Barkley is not the type of person, I mean, I don't know. Some things in my head, they just don't mix. And so it was nice to see this weird crossover event in this episode.
I would love if RuPaul ever, I'm putting this out there. Okay. New manifestation. This is going to happen in some capacity.
Okay.
I can see a world where RuPaul is smart and going, ooh, we had a connection to Charles Barkley.
Guest judge.
What if we had Charles Barkley as a guest judge?
Guest judge.
Or
yes!
if you have some of the, the gays at Saturday Night Live, so I'm looking at you, Bo and Yang, ooh, there's connections here. What if we did a sketch where you had Keenan as Charles Barkley, Charles Barkley is there, and then RuPaul also is Charles Barkley on, because I think that'd be so effing funny. Like, just like the super tall, thin, gay version of Charles Barkley, and like the Keenan. I don't know. I feel like there's something in the universe that will bring these people together on our televisions for our entertainment, and I'm here to manifest that energy.
I would love that. Speaking of manifestation, Arietti has a 17 tattoo. Do you think she submitted her application and production was like, we have to wait until this is 17?
To be fair, she just was born last season. So, I mean, this might have been the first time she could have applied that.
Yeah, she got her tattoo. Arietti? Let's see. I'm not sure. I obviously we know that the overall age of the season is quite low.
Well,
with being fetuses, but no, Arietti is actually 28. I don't know if that's over an age or age when filming, but a little bit.
She is ready for retirement then. So in comparison to the rest of this cast. Well, I was just going to say, I thought that, maybe she was a little younger or something. Like, I thought she was 23.
Yeah, she does read a little bit younger.
But you know what? Her confidence and that unshakable energy that she brings is not young. It's different in the way that you see Jules, who also has confidence and everything, but there's there's a lived experience confidence that you have. And I don't know how to quantify or qualify it, but it exudes in the way that Arietti is, shady and talking about herself and her achievements, and I'm better than that, and bitch, I'm going to do this. And there's a self-assuredness there that Jules has too. I will say that, but it's very much I don't know if it's because Jules has a softer energy to it when she does it, it's a little lighter and that kind of thing or whatever. But there's just something that I do think that Arietti, it comes from a place of wizened shade confidence.
And I think she owns it on the runway too. And so when we talk about her looks, we'll definitely get into all of that. But let's finally, 12 minutes in, let's talk about the main challenge. I've pulled up for our video watchers on YouTube, I pulled up all the looks. So we're going to go through each one, essentially talk about the package from each queen. So the first queen to walk the runway was Crystal Envy. She has the Barbie, which I didn't get her first look before the reveal or the pre-reveal look. But essentially, she has the Barbie bathing suit. She's inspired by pufferfish. That was her look for the sea creature runway. And then, of course, her couture gown from the sea junk stuff.
Sea junk stuff.
The sea junk. Beth, what do you think about Crystal's overall package here?
I thought her overall package was okay. I thought it was good. I don't know if I would have put her in the top, to be perfectly honest. Okay. It seems I agree with the judges. And this is what I worried about when I heard that the first runway was going to be more like swimwear. Because I'm like, swimwear, you can absolutely drag up. Let's not pretend like you can't. But inherently, I think most people are going to go for a bathing suit. And that's it. And
yeah,
that's what we basically got. Now, I love that she pulled out the bangs. I love that she had the sunglasses. I love that she's doing this whole Barbie thing. And that the outfit before that was, she had the overs thing. It wasn't actually a Barbie outfit, I don't think, before that. I think it was just something to allude to Barbie. And then it was like, look, I'm the original Barbie.
She was kind of moving like Barbie. She had the brush and stuff with the actual. So yeah, it was definitely a nod to it. But when she puts the little poof on, that moment, I was like, oh, that's so cute. I actually really love that.
But I just kind of feel like, okay, so she put a bang on her forehead. That can't be the only drag for this. Otherwise, you just look like a woman on the Jersey Shore beach having a nice day, right? So I kind of generally was like, spoiler alert, there's not many first looks I actually like in this whole thing.
Yes. Okay, so both myself and a friend of mine, we were talking about this, that we did not like the first category being bathing suits. Just
the second category was incredible.
But that's what I thought too. Okay, on the same page. Yeah, the first, and that's the thing is, it's exactly what you said. We're just gonna get a lot of bathing suits, right? And it's like, okay, how much more are you gonna do with that? Unless maybe you come out in a wetsuit, like a dragged out wetsuit. You know, I don't know, maybe something along those lines. But yeah, it's like essentially you're gonna get a bathing suit. And then the second one I thought was so creative. I mean, in general, the category, but also Crystal Envy's look for the pufferfish with the addition of the little like puffy, like she puffed up, which is just so cool. And then I can't fault the last look is just absolutely gorgeous, even though she can't move in it at all. She just sort of like slowly scuttles down the runway. It's very cute.
I think the thing that I missed from Crystal, even when she looks the most gorgeous, that I got during her pufferfish runway is the ability to also just let loose a little bit and be somewhat a little silly. Even, I mean, I know that a lot of the reason why she couldn't walk and move that well was because of her dress, and we know that.
Yeah.
But I got like no ownership energy from her outfit. Like when she's walking the runway, it was very much like, hello, I'm a mannequin. Take a look at what I've got. And I just didn't feel like she was really like owning it in the way that we're going to talk about it with Law and Lana. But like at the very least, I think that there's like, she is so confident. Like when we saw her acting, then we saw that stuff come out, like that campiness, that like being willing to, you know, when she did the like the Little Tree song and all that kind of stuff, like she was really in her element because she was able to do that. She's got kind of a somewhat monotone voice and doesn't move her face that much when she's talking. Could be Botox, I don't know. Could be filler and such. What great. So you have to be able to like own it. And I just felt like this was a runway, probably again because of her limitations of movement, where she couldn't do it, especially right after having a runway where she was very different in her movements. And I got to see a very different side of her while also feeling like, oh, this is the Crystal Envy pageant, like creative experience that I get from her. So I agreed with the judges that the second look, besides the fact that it was just so effing cool and iconic and like just so different, was her best look. I feel like her confidence or energy was really the thing that also carried her in that second look.
I think I would probably, well, okay, when she was announced as the top, I was not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, as we go through, I definitely have someone I would put in the bottom. I have some thoughts about the bottom. Thoughts about the top, though. Like I'm good, I think, with Crystal in the top. We'll see maybe as we go through some other looks. I hear what you're saying about the last look, and I really do strongly feel it's because she can't move. And this becomes a talk, and this is a talking point even in the walkthrough. RuPaul's like, this has no give. So
look at you like, but it's just, I don't know. It's obviously very gorgeous and beautiful. And I think that it looks like it doesn't look unfinished. It doesn't look like it came from upcycled materials or anything. Like she really nailed it. And I kind of love that it does give kind of like beach vacation eleganza. You know what I mean? I love that it kind of also fits the runway themes. So I'm not sitting here saying like it shouldn't be in the top. I personally just felt like the second look is what really carried her into the top, even though this look right here, especially in comparison to a lot of other people's, is just very well done.
It's also kind of lionfishy in the sense of it's still very aquatic in theme, which I like as well.
I just want to give her props, though. That skirt having the stripes go up versus horizontally was so smart. If she had done it the other way, I think she would have been safe. I think something like that is just the little thing that changes an outfit completely.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jules' sparkles. So again, like okay, the first look, it's cute, it's fine. And this is just me being underwhelmed by, I think, all of the first looks that most of the queens put out. So part of me, as long as it was serviceable, part of me just like didn't even consider it. And then I focused on the last two looks. I have to say, I am so taken with her sea creature look.
This is my favorite look of the entirety of the ball.
I love it. I love it. She's a sea slug, a Spanish dancer. It's just so pretty. It's so cute. I love the way it moves. I'm absolutely obsessed with this.
What I love the most is that Jules has a way of putting her Latina heritage into so much, and then even like little things that are like Spanish adjacent and something just named like the Spanish dancer is something that she was able. I literally stopped and rewound wound this runway because I loved how it looked when she walked. It's incredible to see it right here. We've seen the kind of, spray paint, blow paint, whatever it's called. I forgot.
Mhm.
What am I trying to say? That kind of like design on an outfit, but there's also like
The airbrush.
airbrush.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yes, blow brush, blow.
The blow
Do you remember
brush.
blow brushes?
Where you would blow the paint? Yeah.
Yeah. And why did they give those
What
to
were the
kids?
90s? Like, what were we doing? We're like, you know
Yeah.
how you love huffing markers. So what about blowing on
Hey.
markers?
They're like, no, we're trying to tell kids to blow the air out with markers, not
Don't
to
stuff
bring it in.
in.
Yeah. Oh God. But what I mean is like she has that like airbrush kind of look on the center.
Yeah.
And then obviously the different layers of, I don't even know what material that is, chiffon in some capacity, I guess. It is just absolutely stunning. I was so completely mesmerized by it. And I thought that she was one of the few people who actually attempted to drag up a bathing suit by having those huge bangles and chains and such. Again, that she was mentioning this is kind of me trying to be like, I am a fierce, Latina bitch walking down the runway. And I loved all of that because I felt like she was one of the only people who tried to do something to drag it up. It's her last look, I think, in comparison to something like Crystal's that doesn't make her into the top. But I honestly think I would have switched Jules and Crystal because I felt like, I don't know. Well, I guess maybe not. As I'm thinking, I don't know. I felt like they were kind of back and forth for me.
I think there's absolutely an argument to be made to put Jules in the top. I think that the strength of the middle look is so good, and I think that the last look is cute too. I think that the problem is then it's like, oh, you stuck stuff to a bodysuit. But it looks really pretty. Like I love the black flourishes. I can't remember what she said she made those out of, but those just looked really well constructed and really well put together. Maybe if this had been a gown with those instead, then that would have 100% put her in the top.
Yeah. I wonder if she had some more of the see-through kind of material that's on her arms, if that had been like a skirt, even on one side, like on the opposite side of where like the big poof on her hip is. Even just something like that would have seen like, it's not just a bodysuit, it looks like a dress or whatever. Yes, it still would have been like a bodysuit that things were stuck to, but I think when you compare it to other queens who had bodysuits that they literally stuck things to, this is so clearly elevated from that.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
And it is playing with proportion. It is playing with shape. And that's what I think makes it not just a bodysuit, especially when you are also putting long sleeves of some sort off of that. So I think there was enough here to justify, hey, this is not just a bodysuit kind of thing moment. But I also understand if that is the one look that they go, I don't think that's strong enough. We do have to heavily weigh the one that you made for this, then totally understood.
I think maybe it's a little out of balance in terms of the fact that it feels very top heavy. So yeah, adding that, like you said, even if it's just fabric to one side, to add a little bit more weight to the bottom of the look, I think really would have helped a lot as well. But her paint is gorgeous. And I think she just looked absolutely stunning this week.
She looks so much older in drag. It's unreal. Like she looks a good 10 years older. She looks like a 30-year-old in drag. And in out of drag, she looks her age.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, I agree with that.
She's so talented.
Next up is Butthole. So Butthole did have an interesting perspective on the swimsuit look, Beth, with all the penises.
Yeah.
Still didn't particularly I just didn't connect with the first category, even with all the penises, which I do appreciate. So, that was a little bit of a meh. She was an angler fish, I believe. Yeah, the angler fish was the inspiration. She was the jockey, specifically the angler fish. Yeah. So that was a very creative interpretation. And then her last look is very metallic-y, spirally garbage.
I think that being safe was exactly where Butthole should have been this week.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not going to lie, when the slide came up and it said Lydia B. Collins, I was like, who the fuck's Lydia?
I know. I grabbed this from promotional material at the beginning of the season, and I'm like, I need a Butthole one.
But what What I love so much about Butthole is that everything about her is that level of drag punk. Let's not think of what you think of. Let's disrupt the system of thought. And so for that alone, which was very much how RuPaul got his start in drag and in gender bending and all that kind of stuff, was it came from a place of being in a punk band and being punk with it. And I feel like Butthole is just like the perfect example of how to bring, like, Butthole reminds me a lot in a way of like Evie Oddly. Like Evie would do things that were super fashionable and couture, and you could tell that there was a really good perspective. I do think that Evie was like a little better at editing, finishing pieces here, but I also think that that's kind of the point of what Butthole's presenting, is that it's not supposed to look perfect. With all of that said, again, one of my favorites for the first category, but I was just underwhelmed like you for that entire first category. I don't know if I read the other penises as penises. They'd look like Stegosaurus spikes really more than anything else. Yes. I loved that she came out with like, I'm going to have a package wherever packages in my bathing suit. That to me, that's a wonderful way to be punk and drag and have a message about, like, some, in the words of Alaska, some of the most beautiful women in the world have gigantic penises, right? So I love that kind of commentary. The second look was just like so campy that I was so enthralled with it. And all I could think of was, I need a live camera on Law Roach's face the entire time the Butthole's on the runway, because I can see a world where Law's like, fucking fierce, love that you're saying fuck you and also doing the assignment. I love that. But I could also see it where it was like, bitch, you need to tailor the shit up. You need to elevate your pussy, right? So I don't know. There's a part of me that I loved about that, but I loved like the messy hair. I loved the the fake legs, but then also her legs underneath was wild. Like there was like, we can see your legs.
Right, like those need to be anglerfish legs. Like those can't be both your legs. You have two sets of legs.
Make it look like the tail or something. I don't know. It was just weird. I loved it.
No, I mean, that's the thing. I loved the idea. I love the idea of a jockey riding an anglerfish. That's so weird. That's so fun. It's just, it's those little details that I think will really, like, once she can, I mean, again, as you said, maybe it's on purpose.
Yeah.
I hope it's not on purpose. Because I would like to see this as like just slightly more elevated, because I love the concept. It's so cool. And I think it's really fun. My main issue with the last look is that it felt low. Like it felt like it hung down low on her. Yeah. Like I just wanted to kind of just hike it up, you know, get that back over the titties, get that up a little bit more. But I thought it was a really cool concept. Weird. It was unlike anything else that we saw people create. So for that, I want to give her like major creativity points.
I also think what's really cool about it is if it came up a little higher, I think it actually would be easier to see. But she kind of made a face with like the swirls near her, where her chest would be the eyes, and then there's like the mouth I just think that looks so cool, and I think it makes sense, like the idea of having the mouth near where like the pussy is, and like having the eyes where the boobs are and everything, and then having like these coils, this very like, it gives me who's the baddie in Sonic the Hedgehog? I don't know why. I'm just getting that dude with the big mustache who's floating around, like he has like the pipes and wires sometimes. I don't know. It gave me such interesting perspective. It was robotic and futuristic and also like dystopian. I don't know. I loved it. But I totally agree with you that it was just falling down. Now I have to imagine that if she had a little bit more time, I'm sure that it would have fit perfectly. So I mean, we do need to mark off points for that or whatever. I would never have put her in the top anyway, but I just felt like this was a really cool interpretation and so different. And so she deserves all the points for that.
Yeah. Eggman was the name of the villain.
Eggman! Yes. I don't know why. He looks nothing like that, but there's just like, I don't know. It reminds me of like those 2D platformer games in the 90s where they would have like industrial levels. And I went immediately to him because he's got like a little...
I can see it.
Yeah, I don't know. Who's Dr. Robotnik? Who's that from?
I don't know.
We're gonna look that. Everyone's screaming in the podcast. Like, first of all,
That's him. They're the same person.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I was thinking.
Dr. Eggman. I don't
know why I think of him. He has nothing to do with this outfit. I think it's literally like I don't know why I went to him. I guess maybe I was also thinking more like Mega Man. I don't know. It's just which also has nothing to do with this. It's just this idea of like machinery, industrial people, and 2D platform. I don't know. That's just like the vibe for some reason I got from her. It's so wild.
It's a little Doc Ock with the kind of thing coming out of her, maybe the robotic.
The Doc Ock is a good shout out. Yeah.
We'll see.
That makes way more sense than what I was.
All right, let's move on and talk about Nepo baby Sam Starr. Again, like the first look, Beth. It just, again, it's cute. It's fine. It's cute. And she had a cover up, which I also didn't show, but like.
I actually hate the first look. Can I be honest? Okay, I don't like the way her chest looks. I don't like how it goes up if she's not going to have like some kind of contouring or something to show shape.
Yeah, okay, fair.
You know what I mean? And you don't need to have big boobs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying though that like if you're going to have the band of where where it goes, like if it goes up, then you have to show some kind of like under boob cleavage or something, because I think that would make it a little different and draggy while also making it still kind of like this more classic silhouette. I don't know. That was just something like, it's the way she presented it was it was cute. It was adorable. I loved her presentation of it on the runway. Again, I'm with you that it's just kind of like a meh.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the other two looks?
Okay, I have to admit, she fucking killed this, I thought.
Right?
Yeah. No. I got to tell you, again, the second, I kind of wish, can we do more of these like animal-inspired-esque runways? Because
please.
This was incredible. I literally was sitting here being like, you could do this kind of thing in elementary school when you're teaching about random animals and tell students like, come up with your own interpretation of what this animal is like and tell the class or show the class or like dress up or use construction paper to try to make a picture or something like that. I feel like there's something that you can do with this. This is like universally, I'm learning about an animal while I'm also like using creative skills, right? I just love this runway theme so much. And this is not anything I would have expected from her. And I think that's why I loved her so much more in this episode in comparison, even though I said the whole Nepo thing. Like this here, like her, what was this called? What fish? The
one that she was inspired by? The viper fish.
Viper.
Yeah.
I just thought this was so cool. It like her paint on her face. I was like very attracted to her. I don't know why in this look. And it's just like everything, the spikes, she still is moving. I did notice that there were times where she had to kind of like hold on to the upper loop so it didn't like bang into her legs. So I hope she doesn't have too many bruises. But I just thought that look in particular was just amazing. I didn't know how I felt about the ball gown look at all when it was in the workroom, like on the mannequin. I was like, ooh, that does not look good. She came out in this. I could not have been more wrong. This had an idea, a concept. I love that, even though I'm sure this was not at all her thought process, like this could be used as promotional footage for Wicked and just being like, yes, pink and green and bubbles. And she's team both of them. I don't know. Like, I just loved this so much. Her hair with the bobbles in the hair and on the skirt. Like, I just thought this was incredibly beautiful.
So for me, the middle look, the viperfish look, was not the interpretation I ever would have thought of, but also perfectly encapsulated the picture, at least, that they showed of the fish. So 10 out of 10, absolutely loved it. When she walked around the corner in the final look, I gagged. I went, oh my God. And the way that she used the bags and everything to create the dress. That being said, then I looked at it more, and I think I liked it less. The more I looked at it, because I was just kind of like, do I really like this? But I can't get over my initial impression. And when I watched the episode, I was like, yeah, of course she deserves to be in the top. Like, it felt like an absolute no-brainer based on my reaction to, especially her second look, but of course, like I said, her third as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, I know that there was this whole, like Lexi and her going, what are you going to do for this long look? And then even RuPaul and Lexi were both like, are you sure you want to do a ball gown again? But I feel like this is such a different kind of interpretation that I kind of fiercely love when queens stick to their original plan because they know, and then they show it out and they best RuPaul's comments, so to say. It happens very rarely, but when it does, I do get a sick satisfaction out of it. And this was one that I was very satisfied with when she turned that one runway corner.
Well, and I'll have to go back and look at the lookbook for her other looks, but it's not like I remember this being her staple silhouette, whereas Hormonal Lisa, who we're going to talk about, doing the same silhouette over and over and over again. So to me, this felt different enough, and I love the way she used the bags. And that's why, like, I understand there's also the critique of, oh, well, I don't want to see the material. Like, I don't want to know what the material was that you used to make the bag. And I do think that there's credence to that argument, but I think the way that she just made this so big and so puffy, it was just very cool. So
I'm surprised it just didn't fall completely apart when she was walking. You know what I mean? Like all the bags falling apart. I mean, one of those bags could have made a La La Ree bag runway. But wow.
Yeah, this is the Redux version of that. Next up is Anya Nerve. Beth, how'd you feel about Anya's package that she presented this week?
It was safe. It was fine.
Yeah.
Again, the first look, I'm not even like, whatever. It's a cover up in a bathing suit, like whatever.
I know.
But I did appreciate when she came out for that one. I love that she comes out with like mean mug in it on the runway. That is one of my favorite things about Anya because it just tells you everything you need to know about that drag character. And when she came out with such joy in the second one and with like those huge clown looking silhouette pants and everything, I just loved how different it was. It's not something I expected from her. I think that we've all kind of agreed that some of her looks have just like been slightly missing the mark, even if she's won. I felt like this was one that had a complete idea and finish to it. I still think maybe having some kind of cape or something to balance out the top, or a bigger hair would have been even better. But I loved just like how different she presented this than her other ones. And then I did think that her constructed look was actually the best look that she had. But I love this kind of idea that she's kind of what's left over from all the pollution and remnants of stuff in the water. That's what I got out of it, at least. And I thought the way that she spray painted it and had it match the netting, and there's also like see-through material, and there's kind of camo to it. There's rusted chains. Like there's so many cool textures that don't clash and work well together that I thought that was actually, whereas other people like Liana, we'll talk about later, I just felt like couldn't do what she did. So I felt like she did a very serviceable job, deserved to be safe. Yeah.
I pretty much land in the exact same spot. Definitely a safe. I don't think deserved to be in the bottom, didn't deserve to be in the top. I would have loved sleeves on the African sea star look to just kind of balance it out a little bit. But I do love the way that, so, you know, there's cutouts on the side, which makes her waist look even smaller, which makes the hips look even bigger. Love that.
So cool.
And I think that's why I wanted the sleeves, to just kind of add a little bit more of the volume to the top to even further like accentuate that difference. And additionally, it's a sea star, so you kind of want like all the limbs to be the sea star limbs. But yeah, I thought the final look was fine. A little Mad Max-ish, sort of apocalyptic future garbage look. It was safe, right? That's really genuinely where I think Anya deserved to be. Next up, Ariete, our winner this week, Beth, and to me had at least some fun perspective on the first look.
I think that she is so clearly the winner of this episode by a mile, because I felt like every single look was one of the best, if not the best in the category, right?
Yes.
So I felt like Ariete had the best first look, which was drag for once, I would say. It's great having an idea of like, how do you make swim wear drag, come up with a different idea of who's the person wearing it and then go from there. Like, what a great idea. I would expect this from the House of Alienisms with Irene. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But I also just love that, this is clearly somebody who knows her stuff with fashion and construction and her proportions. She understands so many different references. I just thought that this looked really, really cool. This is one of the best and most effective bodysuits that has been airbrushed I've ever seen. And the way that she blended it into her paint on her face, 10 out of 10. And clearly she painted her hands and her feet. And I can't tell you how many times details like that have appeared on the runway and I've been, I wish you would have just painted your hands or something, right? So I have to give her all the props in the world on just like attention to detail, 10 out of 10. Beautiful drag outfit, also high fashion, also a different idea. Just love that.
Well, and that's the thing is because when you don't have that matching, like for the first look, it's just so distracting. And when she said, this isn't my body, this is a bodysuit, but the way that it so well integrates into so many other pieces, just genuinely so impressive, so cool. She was the winner. Like, she is the winner. And it's so funny to think that she would have gone home last week if not for the Badongadong tank. So I'm very happy that we got to see her here. I did not get the pus out of the nose from the glasses on the last look that La Roche was talking about. So to me, I didn't quite see it. But I just think overall, she had such a cohesive, I mean, okay, maybe the first look was not cohesive, but like the last two looks like did just feel so beautiful, so gorgeous. Really 10 out of 10. Easy winner for me this week.
It feels like the first look is like this alien woman going, because let's be honest, okay? The ocean is like mostly unexplored. There were probably thousands upon thousands of creatures we have not yet ever discovered, right? That are in the oceans, especially the deep, 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 deep levels. That's probably its own little universe down there. I have no interest in ever knowing what's going on.
Like, I'm not James Cameron. Do not send me to the bottom of the ocean.
Right? But I like this idea that what I felt like she created was like, this is on whatever planet, even if it has some of the same stuff that is unexplored in space and in the ocean, I feel like there's similarities there. I just got this idea that the through line was her at the beach, and then these are some things that you would find in like this other, even though it's stuff that you can find here on Earth, you could also find on this other planet. Like, I don't know, that was just kind of like generally this perspective I got. I did think that she had one of the best second outfits as well. I thought that the gimmick of crystals was really fun, but what I loved about Arietti is that it was really about how she was moving that was making the outfit look cool. And that just provides a whole other, and there's somebody else that we'll talk about that tries to do that very similarly, but is not as effective because the material doesn't move the way it should on the body, right? I thought that she did incredible here. I love the attention to detail that there's stripes on the shoes that match on the body. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. I have not seen a lot of this kind of fitted hourglass on Arietti yet, so I thought that this was a good, different kind of look for her. And then this last look, I am obsessed with this like salmon into like light blue, very like coral reef. Loved. I just loved this so much. I love that she spray painted her shoes. I love that she had these glasses that went along with it. I just, she was giving me that she is the coral and also some of like that like seagrass that just kind of moves and seaweed and such. I just thought this was gorgeous. And she has just a talent for really letting the outfit be the star that she's created while also not letting it upstage her as the artist. And I think that is such a hard thing to do, that line. She does it really well.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about Susie Toot, who had the Lucille Ball cosplay as a man for her swimsuit look. I would say, again, similar to Arietti, like at least she had a perspective that she wanted to go with and wanted to do something different and unique. So I did appreciate that. I thought her octopus look was cool. The final look was a little like, okay, I She was higher on it than I was. I like the Amelia Earhart angle. I just think that the actual look itself, apart from the jacket sleeve, I just didn't like very much. I thought she was safe, and I think that's where she deserved to be. Safe.
I 1,000% agree. I felt like the first outfit, again, I like that there's a concept. I like this kind of like Coney Island, strongman, boardwalk, 1930s vibe. I love that. I love the man playing a woman playing a man kind of thing. I love the gender bending of that and everything. But at the end of the day, she put on a mustache. Okay. Like, okay.
She has a ball, Beth.
I'm sorry. Yes.
And she grabbed a ball.
But again, I'd argue that this was better than a lot of things. Anyway, the second look obviously looks incredible. I love that this does give me probably the first thing that she's provided on the runway that gives this like high fashion silhouette look design to it. Like what she put together for like that devil look was really beautiful, obviously, as well. But I just felt like in terms of things that she brought to the Drag Race, this is very different for her. And I really loved it because I still got that Susie vibe. The last look, I only got that it was Amelia Earhart because of the weird headband goggles thing that looks like it was made in a third grade classroom. And then also, I know, they look bad.
It reminds me of one of those headbands you use to wash your face.
Yes, girl.
You're just soak up any water. That's what it was giving to me.
Ready with me to run the walkway on RuPaul's Drag Race. But I felt like, even though I know she was going for Amelia Earhart, I almost felt like besides like the leather jacket sleeve and those kind of parts at the very top, I almost got like washed up overboard pirate vibes. And there's a part of me that feels like Susie could have done that so well, of like this idea that she was a pirate that was thrown overboard or had to walk the plank, and then this is what she's like, and I feel like she has like the presentation skills to be able to bring that up to life, whereas I felt like Amelia Earhart, okay, fine, but yeah, I would have put her in safe for sure. So she was where she was at. The one thing I don't like for sure is that drag up your shoes, people. Like, you got a black shoe. If you look at Ariete, she spray painted the shit out of her shoes to match the outfit. Yeah. You're telling me you couldn't make that at least brown, or put some of that like green brown into the shoe? I don't know.
The like bottle caps. I don't know. Glue some bottle caps too.
Yes. Well, that actually would have been kind of sick. Put all the bottle caps on the shoe too.
But I don't think that's gonna save it. I just don't like. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Let's talk about Corey King.
What are your thoughts?
I would have personally put in the bottom. So first of all, when she walked out in that cheap Party City costume of the shark, of Left Shark, I was just like, oh God, no. And then she has Katy Perry. Okay, fine. Like maybe I could understand this being in the same critique as like the Barbie, kind of the Barbie look. But for me, where it really starts, what really I think would have put her in the bottom is the last look. Okay, you can see where there's not enough rope to cover. Like they highlighted that in the back. Like there's just not enough rope to cover everything. And to me, this is a redux of looks we've seen before. I'm surprised she didn't get red for that as well. I think Vanity Milan did it. I know, obviously, the Candy look from Roxy Andrews was very similar to this. She just glued stuff to a bodysuit. When she was called safe, I was surprised. I'm not going to lie.
I felt like this is a situation where the culmination of all three looks saved her, because I do think her second look was really, really great. And it was a completely different look than we've seen from Corey, who always goes for kind of the bathing suit, short mini skirt kind of dress as well. Versus the people who were actually in the bottom, there's something wrong with pretty much every look. And I felt like her second look saved the crap out of her from being in the bottom, I think. I completely agree with you. I think that the concept of this is really great, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. I loved that she did match it with some pretty interesting booties at the very least, if she's going to go with this kind of look and again have the kind of short aesthetic. I appreciate that she tried to find ways to like drag up her like headpiece and like something on her shoulder and that kind of thing too, that it wasn't just the ropes on the bodysuit. But I'm totally with you. It's amazing how often I just think to myself, man, I wish she just had a cape. I think that kind of thing a lot. But that first look when she came out in like the wish.com version of
the
like
Temu costume.
The Temu left sharp. It, like all I could think of was like, did Joella leave this for her?
Oh no. Yeah, well that was the other thing too, because it was Katy Perry, just like the trauma of women's world coming back at me. I can't.
I just love the idea that like she Joella's like, I want you to have this. And she's like, I will use it. But the thing is like, I can't believe RuPaul didn't have her stay on the runway and be like, I don't want to see any fucking Party City on the I don't want to fucking see any Spirit Halloween on the runway. Not a rhinestone to be seen on that thing. Like no sequin. Like you didn't do anything to try to drag up that left shark in any capacity. I would have at least put a dress on the shark or do something that is so stupid. And then you're revealing into this beautiful, you know, but basic look again, right? I don't know. Yeah, I would not have been mad if she was in the bottom. I do kind of agree with who were the three in the bottom over her. And I think that she's damn lucky that that second look was really good comparatively.
I think she shouldn't have ended up in the bottom two, but I think replacing Acacia is maybe where I would have considered putting her. And then, yeah. Okay. Well, so actually, speaking of Acacia, let's talk about her looks. Because Beth, is this the other look that you were referring to? We were talking about movement on the runway for the second look, the sea creature look.
Yes, exactly. I can't remember if it was Law or Hunter, but somebody said something about how the feathers on the top move as if it is underwater, and it's beautiful, but there's not enough of like the structure or like arc of the ones that are coming off of the top of the like the top piece. They're so long that it just looks like they're straight out and they're just kind of going like this. So it doesn't give the same kind of flow to it. And the way that Arietti, even when she was staying still, I think probably the air moving around on the studio, which you would have to assume is going to happen anyway, probably helped her. But she was just doing stuff with her body. There was nothing Acacia could do with her body that would look good for them to move, because she would have to kind of like do
sway.
She'd have to like hop up and down and sway and do the stuff, but that didn't really look good because Arietti's like, it was like it encapsulated her whole body, so it didn't matter if she moved because there's so much bare here. You would see that. I hated the skirt for this. I do think that unfortunately her second look is her best one, and I did agree with her being in the bottom. That said, I don't necessarily agree completely with everything for the first look. I do think she is one of the few people that tried to do something draggy with the idea of a bathing suit. I like that she went for like having the floaties. I love that her hair is coming out of the hair cap. I like that Michelle like brought that out. I think it's a beautiful silhouette on her. I think everything about that to me, even though it's basic, I'm like, yeah, but you made a category swimsuit, so like I don't know what else you want from them people. So I can't even like fault her for that. I do think her last one makes her so stunted. It makes her like, it's like the proportions aren't 1,000% there. I appreciate what she was doing, and like the effect of it. I agree with Law to the idea that like sometimes you don't have to have everything too matchy, you know. And this is a situation where I think that if she had edited down a little bit, it would have helped her out. But I also kind of wanted to give her the props to be safe, to say this is not something other people were doing. She was really creative of how to use a pool noodle to make sure that the skirt like tarp kind of came out. I think the way that this particular tarp was styled was much better than somebody else who used a tarp that we'll get to. I kind of felt like, even though I was underwhelmed with Acacia, I didn't know if she deserved to be in the bottom 3. I probably would have put Corey here over her. But I don't know.
Yeah, it is a toss up now, kind of looking at these looks back to back. I think I was impressed with her first look for what it was, given the fact that I hated the category. The second look I thought was fine, but I do agree that there could have been more added to it, which would have helped the movement and the way it flows. And then the third look, obviously it's not amazing, but I just didn't think that it was that bad. I really love what she did with the shoes. And I know, okay, it's a little bit too matchy, maybe the colors don't match. There's definitely things to take apart. I just feel like it's there's an argument to be made either way, that like some of those undone pieces on Corey's look should have landed her in the bottom. Agreed. So over like maybe a look that's not so hot, right?
What I loved the most about that though is that they're like, all these looks were like, so it's, you actually did too much.
Yeah.
That's that is ultimately what gets her in the bottom, is that she did too much.
Yeah, she needs to take some of those silver things off. Maybe it would.
And I honestly, I do think if you took the silver things off the shoe, she doesn't look as stunted anymore, because it kind of gives her the same effect as if you're wearing like an ankle boot, which will shorten your legs. So I honestly think that would have been so much better for her. I'm sorry, I cut you off though. So
no. That's exactly what I was saying, right? So it could have gone either way. I think I maybe just wanted Corey's delusion, like in Untucked and stuff. Maybe that's why I wanted Corey in the bottom. But the other queen, who I did think for a hot second, when I saw her last look, they could put in the bottom purely for the production gag of it all, right? Not because they had any intention of ever putting her in the bottom 2, but because after all of the drama and everything, I think from production standpoint, there could have been an argument to put Lexi Love in the bottom, because my God, the last look is just a tarp. It's just a tarp. Sure, it's a spray painted tarp. It's just a tarp that she glued shit on it to. Yeah. Like, that's all it is, right?
Oh, yeah.
And this is very much a girl stop relying on that body, both the first look and the last look, and even to a certain extent the middle look. So part of me would have loved her, is production wants to take advantage of someone in a vulnerable mental state. But like, okay, like production, you know, we know you gotta make a TV show. Put her in the bottom 3, get her red to fill, and create some drama, right?
Yeah, go to Untucked, where all of a sudden, even though the bad juju, quote unquote, was put away beforehand, let's bring it back, okay? Why do you want drama to stop after 15 minutes? Come on.
Yeah, hey, come on. The only time I've ever been looking for any kind of production rigidry in my life.
You and I are such effing hypocrites. It's unreal. Every time that there's obvious like production, we're like, it's so obvious. And then here we would have been like, it's so obvious, but bring it, please.
Just for the gag.
I genuinely feel like I think the last look is one of the bottom looks. I mean, I think even though she's really beautiful and she's showing off those incredible legs and she's wearing those incredible platform shoes, and she has hair that balances out everything, right? So I do think that she knows the proportions of everything. Mm-hmm. That said, it's a tarp. Mm-hmm. It's a tarp. And I don't know. Like, I do think she had my second favorite look from the first, which I appreciated because this was absolutely drag. You got the merkin going on. For those that don't know what a merkin is, it's a wig for the pubic area. Mm-hmm. She had the censored up at the top, which I thought was such a great commentary, not just on like, you know, regulations on television, but also the fact that she is a trans woman. And so saying like, I am a woman. And so this gets censored. Like, there's so many layers of messages there that I thought was like really fun, while also just the way she presented it was a lot of fun on stage. I loved like the little back where there's like, I think it was like a starfish or something that was supposed to be like, that kind of keeps her tuck in place, I'll say. This I thought was just absolutely cool. Like, if you're going to do a swimsuit runway, this is a way to think of it outside of the box that I thought was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. That said, she doesn't have a swimsuit on.
So does it count?
Naked runway. So does it count? Or so that's where like you get the other layers of the messaging, right? Mm-hmm. Is the bathing suit censored in merkin? But you know what I mean? Like,
does that count?
I think it's just fascinating. I thought her second look was like kind of hard to understand what I was looking at times.
She was the purple stinger jellyfish. So you're kind of getting a lot like jellyfish are inherently translucent. So it's like, okay, so that I get where that was coming from. And that was probably my favorite look of the three. I think her sea creature look, then the bathing suit look, then the tarp. Yeah, but I mean, look, I thought it was absolutely pretty and gorgeous. I think there just wasn't enough from the third look for me.
Agreed.
For the package, but I mean, someone had to be safe, I guess.
So for spray paint gate, I would love your opinion.
Yes.
What do you think?
On what? On all of it?
On
the whole thing, the whole situation?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was a mistake because when they showed the what was her garment, I also thought it was just a tarp on the ground that you would spray on. So from my perspective, I can understand that it was an honest mistake. Now, the whole thing with Anya not owning up immediately as soon as it happens, I can also understand being paralyzed in that moment of like, oh my God, what is happening? And you're kind of like processing everything. Obviously, it would have been better if Anya had immediately come out and be like, oh, wait, that was your look. But that's also kind of shady.
While I want to appreciate where Anya was coming from like, I just didn't think it was the moment. I'm like, girl, it wasn't the moment for you, but it was the moment for her, and you owe it to her in that moment to say, mea culpa. I did not mean to do that. I am so sorry. I did not know that. I thought that was a different, like a tarp for protecting the pavement.
Yeah.
What can I do to help fix this? That's all you got to do. But instead, she gets defensive about not telling her. And I'm like, girl, that is not the move. That is not.
Yeah.
Why are you making it like you're the victim here? Because you're not.
Right.
And even though it's an innocent mistake, like I don't think Lexi thought that people were intentionally doing that. And like what Lexi was mad about when she and Anya are really yelling at each other is the fact that Anya can't own up to it and instead had to turn her back to it and made it look like she was like mouthing things to other people when she can't see it. So like that's only going to amplify how you're feeling when you feel like don't know if this is going to present like I want to on the runway, and I can't believe somebody did this, and like all these other things. So I don't know. I'm getting the sense that as much as I love Anya and I do think that she takes ownership for things, I also think that there are areas of like maybe sometimes you got to do the right thing by other people first,
Yeah, I think part of me can empathize with Anya being in that situation, just almost being like a deer in headlights. Like you just kind of freeze and you kind of don't know what to do. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt that was ultimately what happened, at least initially. I do agree with you, the defensiveness, not cute, but at least like that initial reaction probably came from that place. I'm happy that they were able to get over it. I mean, they are the two of the older contestants.
Yeah.
The grandmas, the 33 and 31-year-olds of the group. So they were able to move past it. So we love that. But I'm sorry. It didn't look like a garment. It looked like the tarp.
No, it looked like a tarp.
Like a tarp on
with
the ground that you would
plastic flowers on it. Like, what are we doing?
I don't even think it had the flowers on it at the time. Like when Anya did the spray paint thing.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, maybe that says more about Lexi's look than anything else. Anyway. All right, we got two more sets of looks to go through. First is Hormona, who did end up in the bottom, which first look, I agree. The swimming cap with no wig, she looks like a little pinhead. Proportions don't look great. Second look, same silhouette we've seen a bunch of times. And then actually the third look I thought was really cute, but unfortunately because of the missteps in the others, it's just not enough to elevate her above that, especially when we see other queens create cool garments in the final look. So yeah, it was a bottom for me.
I felt like I agree with the judges that, I felt like the second look was drag enough, but it's also something we have seen from Hormona and that hourglass silhouette. And RuPaul flat out is trying to tell her, like, you need to do a different silhouette because this is what we're used to. What I thought was interesting is that Hormona is one of the seamstresses. And that comes across in like the way that the hems of the skirt and everything of what she made. But at the end of the day, like, it's not enough. It doesn't look besides like how big the skirt and wide it is. It has nothing on top to help, like, I don't know, balance it out a little bit. Like, she got the plain shoes. Like, why aren't we like wrapping whatever that green shit is down your legs maybe a little bit, or around your arms? Like, I just feel like there's so much real estate she didn't play with, and it looks too much like the first look, the silhouette of like the peplum on, you know, this like bathing suit and such. So I agreed with her being in the bottom. I just felt like this is not everything that I would hope to see. I wanted to see more from her.
Yeah, I kind of liked the over-exaggerated silhouette for the last one. I didn't like that she exposed the bags on the runway. That was like, hee hee hee. I was like,
why are we doing that?
Stop that. Don't do that. I just, as overall, the three looks together to me, just like, they just didn't do it. And I think she was one that, especially when I saw the second look, I was like, girl, you're going to be in the bottom. You got to show something hard for the third one to be safe.
Yeah. No, so what I was interested in, didn't she say something about like the reason why she was going to do this hourglass figure was because the other looks, like, I thought she was trying to say that the other looks are not going to be like that. So this is going to be something to showcase that's a little bit more home for me, because I can do this look while at the same time here's some other things. She came out in that first one, I went, oh girl, you're in danger. Like, what? And then she came out in the second look and I went, you're in the bottom. She came out of the last one, you're definitely the bottom, girl. So yeah,
exactly. Let's talk about our final queen, Liana, who wants critiques from Ru, and Ru goes, yeah, you were almost in the bottom during the last design challenge, and then says, oh, you want more critiques? Here, have a whole myriad of critiques from all the judges, but deservedly so. Like, genuinely, Liana also deserved to be in the bottom this week.
Liana was my least favorite.
Same. Even worse than Hormona.
1,000%. For the first and the last look, I love that the only critique she got from RuPaul is you have unfinished hems and things don't look that. And then she went, oh, you want to see unfinished, bitch?
I got you.
Now, I agree with whoever said, I think it was Michelle, said, I appreciate you trying to come out here and not just have stuff taped to a bodysuit, and that you're trying to go for different textures and such. Here's the thing, though. What the fuck am I looking at?
Right? What is this?
What? This looks like she woke up naked, found a dumpster, and just was like, I need to put this shit on so I don't get arrested for being naked in public.
I don't get the like belt / mini skirt thing. I don't really get the silhouette she's going for, if there is one, which I don't think there is one. I don't get the little strips of fabric. I don't get that. Like, I hate, this was my least favorite look.
I think Liana in particular is the epitome of resting on a body. Where I think hopefully what she'll get out of this, from what we're seeing, I don't know her. I don't know shit. I'm just seeing what's presented on television. But what I am seeing is somebody who's saying, this is what I have, and not embracing the incredible mind, creativity, and beauty that she's got in her mind. You know what I mean? Like, that is, I just see somebody who thinks that they're a model and not a drag queen.
Well, what did you feel about the critique about the confidence, right? Because I agree with, there's some hesitation with her. Even when I feel like she's trying to be confident on the runway, there still feels like this ounce of trepidation that holds her back that Luxe Noir London just doesn't have. Like, Luxe stomps down that runway being the absolute queen that she is, and I just want Liana to have more of that confidence.
I think that Liana is mistaking bedroom eyes for like confidence and sexiness. And so she does this thing where she's trying to look like like a model. I'll give you the model eyes, the model face and everything. But actually what she's doing is trying to do something that's not maybe necessarily natural to how she feels herself. I think she's giving what she thinks people want to see rather than what is more true to her. And I'm not saying that that's not true to her at the end of the day. I think that she genuinely is somebody who clearly loves what she has to offer. But I think she's putting it on rather than just being.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. No, I understand that. And that's part of the attitude, right? That's part of the confidence, I think, as well. I did really like her second look. Just it wasn't strong enough to overtake the other two. So
I agree. It was actually, I think her second look is maybe my favorite look I've seen her pull the entire season. And I think part of that is because it's not resting on the body. Like it's the outfit is the star, not the body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally understand that it has a specific perspective. I think it encapsulates the purple sea urchin, which was her inspiration for that as well. So to me, that one really hit the nail on the head. It was just the other two that didn't do that. Okay, we've gone through all the looks. Lana and Hormona end up in the bottom two, which I do think was the right decision. Those are the two, even though I think the Acacia spot could have been up for grabs with Corey or potentially Lexi if we want to be a little bit scandalous. But I do think that Hormona versus Lana was the correct way to go. There was a little bit of a spoiler for me though in terms of who was going to win the lip sync because Hormona's like crying in her confessionals where she's just like, I'm just really trying to do my best. I'm like, oh my God, girl, you went home. So I had that. But I was not impressed with this lip sync. I thought the song choice, it was Olivia Rodrigo, Get Him Back, and it didn't work. I did see some people commenting online. I think that both of them could have gone home. Kind of agree with that.
Yeah, especially, come on, producers, you're losing your touch. Hormona earlier in the same episode said, what if there's a double elimination?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. That's why I also thought that it could have been. I was like, send them both home.
I'm going to tell you this straight up. RuPaul's Drag Race production. If you are going to save queens, and while we are so happy that they get additional time for a platform and all that kind of stuff, you need to understand we want bitches going home. Okay? So when two girls deserve to go home, send them home. I genuinely thought both of those queens were bad in the lip sync. I was so bored. I agree with you that it was a weird song choice, but I also think that they're just two queens for whom that song just does not gel with who they are. Yeah. And so I just think it was like a really bad cocktail of shit. And so I don't know. I do think Hormona, we've seen what we can see from her at this time.
You mean in terms of silhouettes? We've seen enough.
In comedy and
but right before Snatch Game, I would have been okay. Either send them both home. I don't know.
Because I'm gonna be honest. Let's be honest. Like Ariete being saved by a twist and then coming back and winning the next challenge, iconic, great, we love, whatever, right? Lana in Snatch Game, I don't know if I have a lot of faith.
We'll see.
So I'm just sitting back saying, like, I don't know what we're missing unless you were like, production at this point has seen all of their like casting videos, so they have an idea of characters they could potentially be doing and that kind of thing. But I just sit back and I'm like, I don't know if you needed somebody who was maybe going to flail a little bit more. What?
Plus, that's a lot of queens in Snatch Game. It's 11 queens playing Snatch Game, which is absolutely wild. But that will be the episode next week in our What Does Ru Say When the Queen Gets Eliminated watch. So just to recap, we had You Are and Will Always Be a beloved member of the Drag Race family for Lucky. For Joella, we got a Ru girl. For Hormona, we didn't get You Are and Will Always Be. We got You Are a True Work of Art. Okay, so we're clocking that, but not You Are and Will Always Be a True Work of Art. Like, you just are. You will not always be, though, a work of art.
Right now, and your time as a work of art has come to an end. Get off my stage.
Exactly. Get out the Louvre. You don't belong. So we're going to stay on that watch. We'll see what happens next week when someone gets eliminated from Snatch Game, which is, I think, honestly going to be terrible. So, because I'm always like, I'm excited for Snatch Game. Yeah. No, Liana, you're not excited for Snatch Game. This is going to be bad. Susie is going to do great, and maybe a couple other queens, but otherwise it's going to be a disaster, and you need to mentally prepare yourself for the disaster that will be Snatch Game season 17.
I have a feeling we're about to see season 14 all over again.
I had the exact same feeling. I was like, oh, this is going to be, and for the promos did not do any justice in the next time on. So
I would like to point out that I do think that the seasons where they don't do as well is when the cast is predominantly very young.
I have no data to back that up, but in your manifesting ways, I'm going to choose to believe you.
Again, I am only doing based off of my own perspective and memory and such. But when I think about like, there's an aspect of like needing to know references and how to be quick and like those kind of things for sure, obviously. And some of those things are natural to people. But I don't know. I just feel like we generally have like season 7, that was like a lot of fashion and look queens and such, but then they gave them a shit ton of acting challenges. Like, Snatch Game's always going to happen, so I'm not worried about that. But this season 17 could have the same issue if it ends up being a lot of acting challenges, and then it's like, well, Susie's just going to win all the acting challenges. Maybe Jules, maybe Anya. Like, you know, I think there's people in there who can, you know, shake it up a little bit. You know, I don't know. Like, I'm not confident with this cast. I think Anya and Susie will be good. I think Jules will be safe.
And there's a universe where we come back next week and we have eaten our words, right? And we were totally wrong. And that is the world that I want to live in. It's not the world I think we're going to live in, but it's the world that I want to live in. So we will proceed forward with caution moving into Snatch Game for next week. But that does it for us with everything with this episode. Beth, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think we hit it all.
We did it. We covered it all. All 36 looks. All one terrible lip sync. It's all good. Done. And
spray paint gate and everything.
Spray paint gate and everything, yeah. All right, Beth, where can people find you on social media? What plugs you got? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, everybody can follow me at Beth-Dixon on Blue Sky or at AugustaWind11 on my Instagram or Twitch channel. And that's basically what I'm up to.
And you can find me on Blue Sky at Liana-ism. Puya and I are doing the Puya and Liana Lounge. We had a really fun episode released this Friday, so I highly recommend you check it out. Very goofy, very fun. And we're going to have a banger of an episode also coming up next week. Puya and I went ice skating. Spoiler alert that we're probably going to talk about. So tune in to hear that full story.
Wait.
Thank you to all of the listeners. Of course, leave your star ratings and reviews for us on iTunes. Be sure to thumbs up the video, like, comment, sub, you know, all that good stuff. And thank you to the whole RHAP team for all of their help behind the scenes. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.